Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to CT Talks, episode 10, Bridge Innovation featuring the American River Bridge here in Sacramento. I'm your co-host, Laura Estrada Adams, Communications and Outreach Coordinator for the Division of Human Resources. We have a wonderful webinar for you today with 3 of our outstanding engineers and student intern who are all excited to share more about their insights and experiences with you on this project. Before we kick it off, we want to see who's tuning in today using your emojis. So get ready with your emoji buttons. We're going to be using the thumbs up, the clapping hands, and the heart. So for the thumbs up, if it's your first time ever attending a CT Talks, throw up your thumbs and let's see where you're at. Thumbs up for first-time viewers for CT Talks. All right. Next up, use the clapping hands. This is going to be for returning viewers of CT Talks that you've attended another session before. Give us a clapping hands emoji. There we go. I see up right now. Awesome. All right, lastly, use the heart emoji. We want to see all of our statewide Caltrans colleagues that are joining us today. So if you are working for Caltrans, you're here to support your colleagues in this panel, throw up your heart emojis. There we go. See lots of those going up, lots of hearts. Awesome. Love all the support. All right, great. So welcome again, everybody. We so appreciate the internal and external viewers for your support of the CT Talks webinars and are so happy you're here today. In case you're not able to stay long, no worries, we got you. We're going to be sending out a follow-up email that'll include the recorded link, so keep an eye out for that. And a quick reminder for today's webinar, we encourage you to put your questions in the chat as Harry and I will be pausing throughout to pass these questions along to our guests. And really importantly, feel free to continue to use those emojis and show some love for our panelists. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Harriet.
Thanks, Laura. Awesome introduction today with all the emoji love. Love to see it. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in for CT Talks episode 10, Innovating the American River Bridge Rehab Project. My name is Harriet alongside Laura. We are from the Strategic Communications Unit within the Division of Human Resources here in Caltrans Sacramento headquarters, and we're super excited to bring you this episode today. So just to give you a little overview of what to expect today is we're going to hear from 4 of our amazing panelists on their experience and insights on this project. And as Laura said, you're going to have your opportunity to ask your burning questions, which we will pause, as she said, to get to those throughout the webinar. So without further ado, we've got 4 incredible panelists with us today. Luis Guzman, Mayra Velasquez Cano, Ivan Young, and Jimmy No. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So we've got some brief bios to share with you all today so you can learn a little bit more about our panelists, and then we're going to dive into our questions about this amazing project. So I'm going to kick it to Laura to start us off with the biographies.
All right, thanks. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Luis Guzman. Luis is a transportation engineer here at the Office of Structure Construction in Sacramento. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from California State University, Fresno. As a structure representative, he oversees bridge construction projects, ensuring quality and adherence to contract standards. His expertise includes 3D modeling, project management, and strong interpersonal communication skills for project success. Outside of work, Luis has a deep passion for automotive and motorcycle mechanics. He is often found in the engines and customizing vehicles. He also loves the thrill of driving and riding, appreciating the engineering and the freedom of these machines provide. His favorite pastime is creating great memories with friends and family. Thanks for joining us today, Luis. All right, next up, Harriet.
Oh, thanks, Laura. Next, I have the pleasure to introduce Mayra. So Mayra Velasquez Cano graduated from UC Davis with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. While in school, Mayra was part of the Society of Women Engineering and American Society of Civil Engineers teams such as Transportation Project and Construction Management. Mayra just completed her 5th year in structure construction. Congrats, Mayra. where she is an assistant structure representative for the American River Bridge project. She and her colleagues can be found on the construction site alongside the contractor, inspecting construction and solving problems. Myra finds great joy in using new technology that increases productivity in construction with instruments such as Total Station, Trimble X12 scanning, and using coded Excel sheets to facilitate inspections. In her spare time, she enjoys spending time with her dog, hiking, dancing, creating artwork, and learning about new technology. Welcome, Myra.
Thank you so much.
All right. And I'm happy to introduce you to our third panelist, Ivan Young. Ivan Young is currently pursuing a civil engineering degree at San Diego State. Throughout his academic career, Ivan has had multiple internships while in school, including Lennar Home Construction and Caltrans. Since the summer of 2023, Ivan has worked with the Division of Structure Construction. Currently on the American River Bridge project, Ivan has been exposed to the building information modeling process that includes 3D modeling, innovative technology, and integrating digital information from planning and design to construction of the project. Ivan enjoys being out doing field inspections and constantly learning about construction practices. Outside of work and school, Ivan enjoys exploring and hiking the outdoors. As someone that loves film photography, he enjoys capturing moments of people and the beauty of the outdoors with his film cameras. When not behind the viewfinder, he enjoys spending time with his family and skating. Thank you so much, Ivan, for choosing Caltrans to do your internship, and thank you for joining us today.
All right, and last but certainly not least, I've got Jim or Jimmy No. Pleasure to introduce you today, Jim. You graduated from California State University, Sacramento with a degree in civil engineering, with a master's in structural engineering and a bachelor's in architecture as well. Jim studied his professional engineering career Jim started his professional engineering career in 2011 when he worked for AMC Consultants to construct the longest soil nail for the state, the Jamison Canyon Soil Nail Wall of Napa Highway 12. In 2014, Jim joined Caltrans in the Office of Structure Maintenance and Investigations for 5 years, and then transferred to our District 3, which is our Marysville area. Give a whoop whoop for Marysville if you're in District 3, within the Office of Structure Construction to work on many high-profile projects, such as the Sacramento I-5 Corridor Enhancement Project, 21st Avenue Accelerated Bridge Construction, and the Highway 99 Construction Manager General Contractor, or CMGC, project, which was the first and largest CMGC job in District 3, as well as the American River Bridge project, which is also one of the largest in this area. So welcome, Jim. You bring a lot of vast experience to the table, and we're excited to hear more about what you brought to this project today. Thank you for being here. All right, with that, I'm going to kick it over to Laura to start us off with our first question.
All right, I'm excited for all of these questions and all kinds of great footage. So I'm going to start off first with Luis. Can you give us an overview of the ARB project and take us through the purpose and how will it affect the roadway? Luis, I think maybe you're on mute.
My screen here?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so we'll start off here. It's for the American River Bridge project. This is a CMGC project. It's a joint venture between Granite and CEC. It's a $285 million bridge rehabilitation project. The purpose of the project is to replace the existing deck that has been identified as something that needs to be updated and brought up to current standards. The bridge is approximately 1,900 feet long and 150 feet wide. And what you see here is this is a rendering of the MSC wall on the south side of the project. Here's a bike ramp that we're constructing here to connect the bike path that's on the actual structure itself, and this is what it's going to look like when it's completed. Here's a couple, we have two outlooks on the project, so that way it promotes more pedestrians to use the structure, and it connects the south and the north banks of the American River Bridge and the American River. Okay, so here what I'd like to do is thank a lot of the people that were involved in the success of this project. This is the branch 22, the BIM specialty branch. I work closely with Paymon, Sarouche, and Lynn, and with support of Ben. They supported us in creating a Tekla 3D model for the project, which we used for a lot of the clash detection and RFIs. It just helped the project out, avoid a lot of potential conflict. And like also to thank Mihai. He's our Mets representative. So he was instrumental in the fabrication of the steel. He made sure that everything was fabricated according to plan and specifications. Mark Okamura and Wes Sennett, they're the bridge designers for the project here. Terry Harper, which is the office chief surveyor, specializes in remote sensing by utilizing the wide range of USA. He actually created a LiDAR scan of the bridge before we started construction. And we ran into a problem there where we needed to identify how much upward deflection we were going to have when we removed the deck. And his LiDAR scans of when we first started the project compared to what we had today after we demoed the overhang, we were able to calibrate a very sensitive model that was created by the bridge designer. And that was instrumental. So thank you, Terry. I'd like to thank Parker Compton, and he's the office chief now, but he was the party chief at the time when we first started the project. He provided project control for the project. He was also instrumental in making sure that we were all geo-referenced and elevations were all correct. So he gave us a lot of support. He trained us on how to use the total station and the GPS unit. So he really helped us out. Thank you, Parker. And our current party chief, which is Javier, he's always picking up the phone late night, early in the morning. He always does whatever he has to do to help us out. Aaron Chamberlain, he's a senior innovation engineer, and he provided a lot of the equipment and software that we've used on this project. He gave us the GPS units, total stations. He gave us a lot of software, provided training for us. Tony English, he's our area construction manager, so his support was instrumental as well, because if he wouldn't have supported the innovation part of this and kind of trying out a lot of new things there, we wouldn't have been successful. Glenn Wheeler, he's our senior specialist. He was also provided a lot of support for us, the equipment. And most importantly, Hugna, he believed in our vision. He gave us a lot of autonomy to be able to be creative and be innovative. And Jeff Rude, his office of Chief of Roadway Design, Eric Poole, and Hamid Salah. Okay. So I'll go ahead and move on to the substructure work here. What you see here on the left-hand side is the dredging operation. And that was performed using the bathymetric survey. What that is a combination of sonar and a GPS unit to geo-reference the actual sonar. And that creates a survey of the bottom of the river. And this excavator you see here, that actually is guided by the 3D model, and that's all machine guidance. And I'll pass it over to Myra, who will talk about the specifics of the substructure work.
Okay, so you'll see here we used some of the trestles and cofferdams. The trestle was built to allow us to construct in the nearby piers without using the barges. And the cofferdams, they allow us to work in the higher water elevations. Without the cofferdams, it would be very difficult for us to build anything underwater. So piers 8, 7, and 3 are temporary cofferdams. And then piers 6, 5, and 4 are permanent and will be used for the pier protection. And the existing bridge will also get the pier protection from piers 6, 5, and 4. And when I say that they're temporary cofferdams, that means that once we build the footing and the bridge itself, we're going to remove those sheets. Then in this picture, in this picture right here, you'll see that the contractor used the total station to locate the exact location of the cofferdam. These pins are temporary and will be removed. The next step will be to place the waller, which is a template. The template helps us guide the exact location where we need to drive the sheet piles. If the sheet piles don't go in the right location, then we're going to run into the risk of the cofferdam not closing at the end. And the Caltrans surveyors take a big role on this portion, because without them, we wouldn't be able to construct the cofferdam where it should be. So thank you to all of them.
Ivan, do you want to explain the way that the total station works?
The total station. So basically how the total station works is it shoots a laser into a prism, a glass prism, which does all the trigonometry and calculations for you, and which gives you the distances and angles of that exact point that you're set up on, or that you're shooting. And with that, we were able to input those points into our 3D model to confirm that those are where it's supposed to be. The structure is being built where it's supposed to be.
Okay, next we'll go on talk about the superstructure work here. So what you see here is the barge, and it's setting the steel girders here. These are 120-foot long steel girders. They were prefabricated, pre-drilled at Vigor. It's the fabricator was in Washington, and these were fabricated with a child project ahead of our parent project. So these we had to build all the infrastructure to be exact, and Jimmy will talk about the specifics to that.
Or these girders come in and fit perfectly, right? That's the whole goal, the whole purpose, right? So we use laser X12 to scan the girder itself. There is a design phase, and then there's actually a fabrication phase. And we just want to make sure everything is scanned 3D model and make sure it's fit, right? Another technology what we use is drone. Whereas, slide these girders in, and you're gonna have to brace them with the K-frames, and each of these K-frame are designed for a specific location, as well as the bay, right? So they come and they arrive on a job site with the tag, the manufacturer print on it, the number. We make sure they bring out the right number. And we have our team on the ground checking it. And what I prefer is mark a number on the steel A-frame. And when the contractor install it, and after they complete it, instead of having, on the old days, we have a barge. Instead of having a barge and a man lift, it's going to take hours to set up, bring you up there and check, right? You pop out a drone within 15 minutes. I know exactly that K-frame is at the right location, right? And you can see right there, it's called, we write it CF2, right? Span 8. That means at that span 8, that CF2 is at that location. So with the drone technology, it helps this project speed up very fast because we can cut down the inspection time dramatically. And here on the right, you can see all the bolts, right? Make sure that they are not loose, right? So they are properly tight. And how do we get up so close? Drone, right? Can get very up close.
Okay, another innovation that we use here, our typical process is that we use what's called the grading dowels for our decks. And the way that typically works is you stick a piece of rebar or steel rod into the deck, you put duct tape around it, and you notch it. And then you use string lines to ensure that the profile looks right, that the grading all looks correct. What we tried out on this project is that both Caltrans and ARC contractor, we used the total stations and GPS units to set everything. So we graded the entire deck without any of the grading dowels. We used a 3D model of the deck, and it was all dynamic, so you didn't have to have a specific location. You could walk anywhere on the bridge to set that. And Jimmy and Myra, we'll talk about that.
Once Luis has given us the model, I go out to the field and start surveying. On your left side, you'll see the total station, and on the right side, you'll see our screen. Once I go out to the field, I first survey the girders, the top of the girders, and that will give me a fill. Once I get the fill, with these numbers, a contractor is going to be able to construct the pan decking. And once all the rebar is installed on the deck, we go back and we survey the overhang, the closure pour, and the bidwell railing. And the really cool thing about this is that the total station, you can use it anywhere on the bridge, and it will tell us exactly how far we are from our target. So we can adjust it either if we have to go up or down. And also keep in mind that the Caltrans, so us and the contractor, we always compare our numbers before anything is finalized. So it goes through a couple of people before we say it's good.
Okay, we'll hand it back to you, Harriet.
Awesome. Like, super informative, and hopefully that gives everybody a high-level overview of this project and just some of the innovations you guys have focused on. I know we've been out to the bridge site a couple of times, well, a handful of times now. It's been more times. It's been really nice, and it's just incredible to see the progress. And I know you guys have got some additional footage to share that kind of highlights that. But so thank you all for your insights on the bridge thus far. We're gonna check the chat and see if there's any questions that have come there. I did see one because I know you're talking about the bike lane, Louise. Somebody had asked, how wide is that going to be?
Jimmy, you want to answer that question?
For the bike path, yeah. If you don't know, that's cool too, but
I know we widen, I know we do 53 and a half, 53 and 11.
Yeah, we don't want to give the wrong number. I can't remember the exact number, but it's
Exactly the number, yeah.
it's enough for 2 feet. I believe it's 12 feet wide, but don't quote me on that. We need to
Yeah, I
check the
believe it
plans.
was 12 and I believe almost 14 up to the K-rail.
Yeah, there's enough room for two bikes in each direction.
wow. And it's a beautiful location, absolutely gorgeous. So the fact that you have those 2 vantage points too, incredible, because it's such a beautiful spot. Let's see if we can grab one more, because that was a really quick question. Laura, did you see any you'd like to?
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to add really quickly. I just got my first e-bike. I cannot wait to ride on that bridge. It's going to be
there you
amazing. So super exciting. Yeah. Question here. I'm not sure if anybody here. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
Let's see if anybody can answer this one. But the question is, as a structural engineer working at Caltrans, what environmental projects are you part of, and what environmental projects opportunities are there at Caltrans for a transportation engineer?
Well, at least we haven't worked on any projects that are specific for environmental. I know that there's some like in the Bay Area where they build the fish passages. So we don't, there are projects where they're specifically for environmental reasons, trying to improve whether it is that fish can't cross or can't get up the stream. But for in this area, we haven't had any like that. But every project that we do construct has an environmental component to it. For example, on this project, we have bats that we had to evict, and now we're at the end of the project, we're rebuilding bat habitats on site. So to allow those bats to come back and roost and reproduce and keep the population up.
I love that. And just to end that note right there, I'm going to put in the chat a link to an email for anybody that does have any kind of questions for recruitment and careers and so on, that you can reach out to this email that's in the chat right now.
Cool. And then one more short question I saw, just because Myra was talking about the piers. How deep are those? How deep do those go down?
The piers, they actually, here, let me share something. You could give you a better idea of what that looks like. I'm going to share the model here. And this model is a combination of 3D scans, the Tekla model, and roadway design. So it's a little bit of everything, but that's about how deep they go here. These were designed to go about 60 feet, and these are on piles. So this is kind of what you never really get to see. Is this is all underwater or underground, and these are called the these are piles. So we drive these piles down. These were KISS piles. So they're hollow. We drive them down. We fill them with concrete and rebar, and then we build the footing on top. So what that does is it kind of gives you a lot more stability there. And then we pure walls, pure caps, and then our girders on top.
Great visual. Yeah, that definitely helps. It's
Yeah.
been a struggle. I'm not going to lie, everyone, that Laura and I come from HR communications talking with 4 engineers. It's been a struggle with our communication, but you guys are doing a phenomenal job with making sure we understand all these different technical elements.
We've learned a lot.
So I typed down the answer is actually 14 feet for the bike path.
14. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
for the bike path. Cool. Okay. Nice. All right. Well, to jump into question 2, you spoke a little bit about the innovations that have been utilized, but would anyone like to share a little bit more about maybe a few of your favorite innovations or anything that really has highly contributed to the success of this project?
Good, Mara, you start. I'll add on. Surveying, maybe total station, data collector.
Well, yeah, I guess the total station, we've used it a lot. It's really amazing. I've loved it. We used to do a lot of surveying, a lot of other equipment, old style. Now with the total station, like I said, you could go anywhere on the bridge and it will tell you exactly how deep, how far down or how far up you have to go. And it doesn't have to be an exact location. Like I said, you could go anywhere. And with this, it will help the contractor build it. If we need to adjust it, we could adjust it right at the spot. And it'll give us elevations. It'll give us the point exactly where we are. Yeah, I really love it.
Awesome. Yeah, great insights. It definitely seems like it's been pivotal in the success of this. Just seeing how that's contributed with the data collection. It's incredible. Jim, I know you'd used a lot of drones to help facilitate this. Did you want to share a little bit more about that? And I know you had a couple visuals you wanted to share too.
Yeah, a lot of drone inspection on this case. Let me share my screen real quick.
Because I'm seeing questions about drones being used on the project. So, yeah.
There we go.
All right, you you save a lot of time with some with a lot of inspection. You know, you can see behind this. This is what I'm talking about earlier. You have to have a barge and a man lift, and a boat take you out here, right? To go up, inspect like K-frame, other stuff that, you know, paint, stuff like that. But with a drone, you can do that in 10, 15 minutes very quickly. And also provide a really nice visual video, you know, document process, you know, stages of how far the construction, how far are we into the construction. And I always like to make those kind of videos to show public to say, oh, we are, you know, we did 3 cofferdam today and we are at the pier, we're halfway to the bridge, and, you know, you kind of see a progress of how the construction on that project is going. So definitely drone is innovative.
Yeah, there was also a couple situations where those large cages they were guy wired onto the sheet piles, and we couldn't really tell whether they were plumb or not, because obviously they're so tall and you're down there in that cofferdam. It's really hard to see that. So Jimmy went out and he flew that, and he did a overhead shot, and we clearly could see that was leaning. So we were able to identify it was a safety aspect, and we were able to stop the operation and you know, fix the problem there and fix that safety issue. And it was because of the drone that we were able to identify that and eradicate it.
Awesome. Well, while we're on the topic of drones, maybe we can tap the chat for a couple of those drone questions. Laura, were there any in particular that you saw?
Yeah, they were just pretty much asking if there were any drones were deployed for any of the activities, just kind of surrounding that think the guys did a really good job probably answering that and showing that great footage. But there is a question there. I do have, maybe someone could address here, is like they were wondering why there's still girders and not precast concrete girders used in the bridge. Anyone?
You want to
Oh,
take that?
yeah, I'll go ahead and answer that. Well, the reason for that is that the existing bridge is a steel girder bridge. So that it was kind of designed to match the existing there, but it does having precast or steel girders does kind of by nature it does expedite the construction. Because if it wasn't, then we would have to build maybe like a box girder bridge, and that's a lot slower to build. So that definitely did expedite it, and we fabricated a lot of those girders before the project started. Like I was saying, we broke it up into child projects. And those steel girders were fabricated, I think about maybe 9 months before we actually started construction on site. So by the time that we did that, everything was, it worked out. And normally you'd have to wait till you award a project before the materials procured. So that would have added another season to the project had we not done that. So there's a cost savings and a time savings by doing that, and steel girders are definitely a lot faster to arrive on site and construct.
All right, great. Want to do another question, Harriet?
Sure. Well, there's one. I've seen a couple, just to specify where exactly this bridge is located. There might be some confusion on that. So this is, does anyone want to speak specific to that? You might have some more technical way to explain the location, but I know it's right by Cal Expo. That's how I always put it.
Well, it's northeast of downtown Sacramento. So it's usually where the state fair is at, that's Cal Expo. And it's right over crossing downtown Sacramento, which is into Arden. That's kind of the best way to describe it. I could share a Google map if that might help see where the project is located. Let me go to that and I'll share that.
And while you're sharing that, maybe if there's anyone that's local to the Sacramento area, maybe give a heart if you've driven over this bridge since it's in its current state. Because I know I did, and it's so smooth, so comfortable to drive over. Has anyone in the audience driven over this bridge? There you go. There you go.
We just switched the traffic over literally about a week ago, so it's
Right?
really awesome.
Yeah.
It is. I have to say that after we've been invited multiple times to come out there with you guys and do tours of the site, when I did go over the bridge, I was like, wow, it's open now. So exciting to like be on top of it where we, did the tours with your team. So it's just amazing.
Nice visuals here, Luis. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's where that. So this is downtown Sacramento here. You can see all the buildings here, and this is where we're at. Crossing over that river there. So that is one of the main thoroughfares. We get about 100,000 cars that cross this bridge daily.
Wow.
So it's a main corridor out of Sacramento.
Yeah. I do have another question I saw in there. Maybe now is a good time, but they're wanting to know like what difficulties did the team face while designing and constructing the curved segment of the bridge?
I'm not exactly sure what by curb. What are we talking about? The bike ramp?
It doesn't really say specifically, but it, just looking at the photo there, like what we're looking at, it looks like it's curved, I guess. And so they're just wondering if there's any difficulties.
Oh,
I get part is the super elevation and the horizontal curve and vertical curve, Luis.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
We have 8% super elevation, right? So our girders coming in, a K-frame, everything is designed for that particular area. So like Legos, right? You have to match them exactly where they're at. So that's the difficult part is how do we make sure that things get Legos in correctly, right? So that is one of the challenge.
Yeah, and if you could see the way it worked out is because of that super. I don't know if you could see how much embankment there is, but it's at 8%. So what that means that every foot that you move over, the elevation is 1 foot higher. 1 inch higher or 1 inch lower. So when it comes to erecting these steel girders, 1 inch could make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of one of the probably the biggest constraint that we had on the project was doing that, and this 3D model and the roadway models, they all kind of put everything together. We could see if there was any conflict, we were able to address them before we actually constructed anything. So there were a lot of challenges, and one of the main things was just making sure that everything lined up correctly. Because everything was bolted on, so we had to make sure that everything was geo-referenced correctly. And that way, when they came in, the Lego blocks were perfect. They just snapped right in and then bolted up, and we were done.
Nice.
It's just Lego blocks, right? You're dealing with these.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated. But
Lego
that's...
blocks.
Keep in mind you have a super elevation, right? So now your anchor bolts have to be dimensionally differently, right? So when you lay it out, that's also another difficult part, is how you're gonna lay out the anchor bolt correctly. When you have an 8% and the pier is at the skew too. So you have all kind of dimensions that you have to play around with. And every piers, you go from 8%, 7, 6, 5%. So it varies, right? So almost like you cannot have a one template for every single one of them. You have to almost custom your template for every pier and every connection with an anchor bolt for that girder. Is you need a particularly different template. So that's the difficult part.
And what Jimmy's talking about is this right here, and that's where these 3D models are just absolutely priceless. There, you see how those bolts are shown.
Mm-hmm.
So every one of these bolts, these girders here, they had a plate that was welded on the bottom, and they had pre-drilled holes, and those holes had to go right over this anchor bolt. So that was the difficulty, and being on a super elevation, vertical curve, and a horizontal curve, the geometry was all different. So the girders were at different bearings, meaning that they just weren't parallel to each other. So the elevations were different. It was just it was complicated, but it all worked out.
And
Yeah,
one thing I want to add to it is that you have all this advanced technology. It doesn't tell you how to do it. You technically you have to know how to do it. The machine is for you to verify it, right? So you still at the end, you still need to know how to build a bridge. You use advanced technology to verify your work. Let's make that clear.
Yeah, I also want to add that the total station helped us extremely because, as Luis said, within a foot, it changed the elevation, right? With a laser, it would be very, very difficult. We would need to know exact location. With the total station, we don't need to do that. We could just move within an inch, 2 inches, 6 inches, and we could verify every point if we wanted to. We could verify the top of the rebar. We could verify anything as long as we know the elevation that we want, our target elevation.
Give you a wider range.
Wow. So this segues us quite beautifully into our next question, which Laura's going to present to you all, and we can kind of segue into that. Right.
Before I do that, I wanted to share a comment that I received in the chat. Just a shout out from Francis Apia, who's a Caltrans senior environmental scientist, just saying that he loves the bike lanes. Thank you so much for the bat boxes and bringing the bats back. So I want to share that shout out to you guys.
That's awesome. Hey,
Thank you.
Yeah, so Francis was one of our guests for our wildlife crossings recently. So let's see. So
That's the Cougar
yeah,
T22 bridge.
Yeah.
for the wildlife crossing down in LA. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there's so much content. We're on question 3, right, Harriet?
Yes, question 3.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so has there been any challenges along the way that we haven't discussed yet? Any other challenges that haven't been discussed? Myra, if you want to start, or Jim?
I can start. So I know we had a question earlier about how deep the piers were. So the piles, we encountered hard driving conditions, which means that we didn't meet the tip elevations. And this was on the long spans, that's in the water. We encountered over like 100 blow counts within 12 inches, and sometimes the pile wouldn't even move within the 3 inches. The soil conditions were different from what we were expecting, so we had to meet with Geotech and other very knowledgeable people to come up with a solution. We then agreed that the piles needed to be to meet an elevation tension before we could call it good. Most of the short spans, they did meet the tip elevation, but the long spans, which are mostly in the water, they didn't meet it. And most of them were at around an elevation of -40.
And these are the piles that Myra's talking about here. We had to drive those in, so the soil conditions were too hard where we couldn't get all the way down to tip elevation for design. So these
Yeah,
were
I like
these were
seeing
a little
this.
shorter.
It's so helpful to see this visual while you guys are talking about it. It's awesome. All right, anybody else want to add any other kind of challenges along the way?
Yeah, we could talk about one more. Mother Nature. Here, let me share that here. Here's let me know if you could see the video here. So
Yep,
this is when we first started the project, you could see from the other picture, we were down here, so there was only water. It was at elevation 7 or 8. The elevation you're seeing here is an elevation of 30, and that happened overnight. Within a 24-hour period, the entire project here was underwater.
So mind-blowing.
Yeah, so that's I'll continue that, and maybe Mari, you could probably talk about that, the way that we had to mobilize. I think it was on a
Yeah.
holiday, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. So we actually started, I believe it was on December 27th at night. We got a call saying, hey, we have to move everything away from the job site because we are going to get flooded. We had to move all the barges, the cranes, everything, because everything was going to get flooded. So then I remember that on December 31st, right before New Year's, we finished at around 4 p.m. So that was pretty crazy because I mean, I even thought that we were not even going to make it, or that we were just going to, all the contractor, myself and everyone, we were just going to share New Year's together.
Wow.
I have one challenge. So let me share my screen real quick. So when you're talking about challenges, right, you have all kinds of challenges. For example, right, you have confidence, right? You make sure it's the right location, right? You have footing, right? You have to make sure the template built for it correctly for the footing. You have pier wall, right? Pier wall, now you have rebar cages. How are you gonna marry those guys together? The horizontal bars, right? That is the ultimate. I mean, that's very, very challenge to get that in. But to me, the ultimate challenge is getting those girders to fit into the anchor bolt. As you can see, we have super elevation, we have horizontal curve, vertical curve. We have a whole bunch of stuff going on in here, getting those both in correctly. But now you have girders flying in. Your goal is to make sure it fits. So how are you going to make sure it fits? So we have to lay out all the soak plate, right? You lay them out so you know where exactly the edge of your girder is going to sit, right? Just so you can see it. That's how big the girder is, right? You can see the tolerance, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is very tiny. So here I am up here and trying to get the girder fit in, the soak plate fit in and get the girder sit on the right spot. And you can see right here, you see how the layout of my layout and how the girder is? If you're talking perfection, that's what you call perfection, right? That's what bridge builders do, right? We make sure things are built correctly, right? So that is, to me, the ultimate challenge is getting the girders to fit into the anchor bolt. And let me share.
Such great visual sharing all of that.
Yeah, and let me see. Sorry. And here is a video of what we do. This is a live uncut version, right? So here we have girders coming in. I'm up here trying to lay out all those girders soak plate with the mark of the line so we can tell the contractor, hey, land it right there where my mark is at, right? And and almost it's very difficult because this plate you can see is over 100 pounds, right? Me and him can't even lift this thing up, and so I had to use a crane to lift it in. So
Wow.
now you get the sole plate in market, and now you get the girders come in. So that to me is the challenge, the actual ultimate challenge, right? Because what happened if the girders come in and didn't fit, right?
Right. Good point. Awesome footage. Appreciate that. Yeah. So helpful to see that while you guys are just
And-
explaining that to all of us.
and-
The hard work
and
that
you-
goes behind building this incredible
You-
project.
You know, sometimes it's hard too because you have one crane. It is one pick, right? When you have two pick, you have a crane on the barge and another crane is on the ground right here. When you pick this guy, the double pick, there's another story to talk about. So there's so many challenges, right? The guys on the operator on the crane, on the barge, must start before the guy on the ground. So there is communication and about skill, right? So they're very difficult. Sometimes we able to set 2 girders per day. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes the barge gets stuck. So that's always a challenge every day. So that's what we deal with.
Kudos
Yeah,
to all
something-
this hard work you guys are doing.
Something I really wanted to add on really quick is the challenge of being able, since our bridge is so extensive and wide, the challenge of missing something. So with our total stations, we were able to identify some ponding issues over at Cal Expo UC, which is an undercrossing. So with these ponding issues, it could essentially like be unsafe for drivers and like pedestrians that are biking across the bridge. So with the total station, we were able to shoot those points, put it into a Civil 3D model, and our office was able to come up with a solution to fix that ponding issue. So with the total station, you know, it's good to verify stuff too, but it also catches mistakes that we sometimes make in the field. So this technology has really been essential to our project. That's something I really wanted to add on really quick.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing all the photos and footage and all this information just to show, like I said, the incredible work going behind this project. And next, I'm going to hand it over to Harriet for question number 4.
Well, thank you, Laura. And then, yeah, Jimmy, feel free to keep sharing footage as we're
Yeah.
chatting. It's great to look at this. It's really incredible. My next question is directly from Myra, just being a female in engineering. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's like and maybe any words of inspiration for any female engineers out there?
I started as a computer engineer when I was at UC Davis. And I remember there used to be like 1 or 2 females in our class. So it was definitely very challenging, but not impossible. I knew that for me, I know it wasn't something that I wanted to pursue just because I didn't want to be next to a computer for the rest of my life. So I wanted to do something that I could build with my hands. So then I moved into civil engineering. There's a little bit more women there, which was amazing to see a little bit more women. The only thing is that there's not enough. So we need a lot more women out here. Also, keep in mind that you're always going to have, you know, people that are going to put you down. Maybe some, I one time had a, you know, it's kind of hard because sometimes your own advisors tell you, are you sure that you want to pursue this? Because this is not for women, you know. This is for men. And, you know, I don't know, I even get nervous just to talk about it. Sometimes your own family will tell you, or just people that they know you, they would be like, hey, are you sure you want to go into there? Because it's very hard. Construction is hard. It's a male-dominant field. You have to be strong. You know, yeah, it's very difficult. In construction in general, it's been definitely challenging. But like they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? And in our field, right now in our construction field, everyone's really, really nice. I'm sure that the males out there also have a very difficult time having a female inspector telling them what to do, right? Because I find it difficult for me to tell them what to do, and I can't imagine what they feel like a woman telling them what to do, right? I just want to tell all the female out there and young ladies that want to pursue into construction to never give up. Pursue what you want to do despite of whatever they tell you. I don't know how much to stress it. There's a lot of women out there. Right now we have a few women in our office. Some of them have been here with us for a really long time. I've learned a lot with them. Some of their challenges. It definitely hasn't been a smooth ride, but it's getting better. I'm just nervous myself trying to say all this because it definitely is hard. But like I said, it's not impossible. There's some other challenges that you might encounter while being out in the field is that, there's a lot of men out there. You have to use the porta potties and it's not always clean, but if you have to, sometimes you have to use it. But yeah, I don't know how much to emphasize it. Women out there, please continue pursuing what you dream of. Yeah.
Well, you're an inspiration,
So
Myra.
much.
You've always been such a leader when we've come out. Every time we've met you, leading with such integrity. And so thank you for those inspiring words. Look, you're getting a lot of love in the chat, lots of emojis coming in. So thank you for being an inspiring women leader in construction. And it's been an honor to get to know you and the rest of the team as well. But really to emphasize that, keep at it. Everyone can do it. It's times are changing and you're part of that. So congrats to you.
Thank you so much. And we're also, just to add to that, I'm very excited to have 3 young future engineers out on our job site, currently teaching them a little bit of what we do, and hopefully they can pursue their engineering after they finish their intern with us.
Awesome. Inspiring the next generation. I love it. Love it. So thank you, Myra. Thank you for those words. So I know we want to get to a couple more questions. I know we have one last question, Laura, for Ivan regarding and so let's jump to that, and then we'll pick a couple of questions, and then we'll have to close out.
Yeah, that was a perfect lead-in, how you ended with that, Myra, talking about, our interns. So Ivan on our panel here is a current intern. So Ivan, I want to have you share your experience, what it's been like. You want to talk to everybody, let them know where you're attending college and what your experience has been on this build site.
Yeah, so I'm currently still a student at a community college here locally around Sacramento. And I'll be attending San Diego State for this fall. So being an intern at Caltrans has been, really great for my growth in my academics and my passion for engineering. Being out here with all these people that are so passionate about engineering has really kept that fuel burning in me to pursue civil engineering. In my surveying class I recently just took in spring, so being out there using the total station already before I even knew what surveying is has been really great to for me to help my classmates and everything, setting it up, understanding what it does and what the point of a total station and surveying is, as well as my statics class. I understand better now why there are certain loadings on certain beams with these design constraints. Being able to be out here is we see problems in the books and at school, but being out here in the field and seeing how it's constructed, we really understand why there is design restraints, why there is these problems that we are shown in the classroom and everything. So having this internship has been really great, and I'm excited to continue my degree in civil engineering and hopefully work for Caltrans in the future. So thank you for having me.
I love it. Thank you so much, Ivan. All right, Harry, do you want to head over to a couple questions in the chat?
Sure. There's so many technical questions, and our panelists have been gracious enough that we can gather these questions and send those out to you. So there's a lot of ones that are going to take in the couple minutes we have left, but a lot of people are asking what's the estimated completion date in this project, and are we looking to meet that target?
date is fall of 2025, and it looks like we will meet that. We're demoing the existing deck now. I'm not sure. It was scheduled for yesterday, but I think there was a little bit of delays. But either this week or the start of next week, we'll start demolishing that first span of the existing bridge. And then from there, if everything goes according to plan, then we'll start pouring sections of the deck every other day.
Awesome. Thank you, Luis. Any questions you see, Laura, that you think we should touch on? I've got like 1 minute left. We can probably fit one more in. Hard to find
Yeah. I'm just seeing a lot of shout outs, like Harry had said, for Myra, for everything that you spoke to. We are hiring. Anybody's interested. We definitely want some ladies to add to our crews for sure. You'll work with awesome people like Myra and get a lot of support. Let's see.
Okay, I like this one. You can all answer this. It's real short. How awesome is LiDAR on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably a 20. LiDAR's been very helpful for what we have done. Maybe I don't know, we have time. I could share some of the LiDAR that Terry provided for us. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can share this. I'll quickly share. We were able to see the movement of the bridge, and it would have been almost impossible to do that with traditional survey. Because surveying, you're just grabbing one point. Here, you're grabbing millions of points, so you can see the movement on every section of the bridge here. Let me share what I'm talking about here. Okay.
And while Luis is doing that, in the chat, I did put all 4 of the panelists' emails that you can connect with them. Feel free to grab that in the chat.
So here's the LiDAR scan here. And that gives you a really good representation of what the actual structure looks like. You can see that. It's a little bit hard to see with that one there. Yeah, but it gives you...
The drone, all right, Lisa?
This is a combination of LiDAR, and they used a drone that takes a lot of pictures, and it kind of patches them all together, and it creates this 3D image.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a combination of both pictures and LiDAR.
Incredible to see that.
Yeah, it's been powerful for us. We've been able to verify a lot of things we couldn't really see or that we missed. Because you can't pick all this up with a traditional survey. It's hard to do that, and then there's really no good way of surveying the top of these girders, and that's kind of one of the things that we needed was those top of those girders, and we were able to get that because of the LiDAR.
So there's one last question, just because this webinar was focusing on innovation on this project. Can you give us a rough idea of how many construction days utilizing this innovation and all these different technologies has saved you versus like a more traditional, like you said, the different software that's available? Would you say how much has it expedited the project?
Well, I think one of the main, it's hard to quantify that, but we haven't had any hiccups during construction. And sometimes you start building stuff and things don't fit right, and then you have to stop, delay the project, and then you get change orders and things like that. On this project, we thankfully haven't had anything on the main structure that has had to stop. So we've been, other than the flooding we have stopped, but other than that, everything has gone according to plan. So I would say that as of now, I would say if we hadn't used all the technology, we could have been maybe delayed 6 months to a year had anything gone wrong.
Yeah. Incredible to hear this.
Yeah, and it's because you also have construction windows. So when we first started the project, we only had a few months to build a lot of the foundation work, and we were able to do that because of the technology that we've been using.
Incredible. It sounds like there was a phenomenal amount of innovation used here. Thank you so much. Even though this was just an hour of insight, it's been so educational and so informative. The visuals, the explanations you've all given, thank you so much for your time today. We really, truly appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. There are a lot of questions still unanswered in the chat, so we'll shoot those over to our panelists and get those answers out to you. So thank you for your keen interest. There's a lot of very technical stuff that Laura and I are kind of over our heads, so it'll be right up you guys' street. So thank you again. This has been an absolutely inspiring project to be a part of, and even just sharing this information out with the public and our Caltrans employees. So thank you, Jimmy, Luis, Ivan, Myra. You all are phenomenal individuals and really leaders in the Caltrans engineering space. So thank you so much. Big round of applause. You're receiving a lot of wonderful applause there. So thank you all so much. Jimmy, you're just king of the visuals today. It's awesome. So I did want to share, I know we're running a little bit over time, but did just want to share that we're always looking for suggestions for future topics. So if you have an area, maybe if you want to hear from this team again, there's so much more they can share on. Send your suggestions to our email. It's dhr.communications@dot.co.gov. When you close out of this webinar today, there will be a very short feedback survey. We would love it if you could share that with us so we can keep improving, keep bringing you great individuals. And look out for an invitation to our next CT Talks episode, which is going to be next month at the end of July, which is Caltrans Heroes. We had the honor of going to the Medal of Valor award ceremony this week, and Caltrans employees were honored with 9 of our employees receiving a Medal of Valor, which is when you've risked your life to save the life of another individual. And so we're going to be interviewing one of our awardees next month and hearing a bit more about his firsthand experience. So we really look forward to bringing that to you. So make sure you register so you can get the registration link as well and the recording. Finally, thank you so much to you all. You're absolutely inspiring. This has been so much fun, such a cool project. And if you're in the area, in the Sacramento area, make sure you drive over and think of these folks because they've been pivotal in the expedition of this project and just bringing it to fruition. So congrats to you all, and thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
Joining us.